or people that are sick or could get well, people that have problems with drugs. Help them, our young people. Help our young people's hearts so that we won't lose any more of our young people to suicide. Again, we thank you for our reservation, our land, our animals, all the wildlife that we have, our fish. We have such a beautiful reservation. That our elders, our children, our families be strong, take care of their children, that our kids will go to school and learn. So, thank you, Korean. Thank you for this day, that we have a good meeting.
Thank you, Josephine. I'd like to formally welcome one of our own, Colleen Costin. She's here to present. The council's been working hard to reorganize our government structure, the administrative end of our government. We've been without health director and education director for some time, and we've just had a hard time finding the expertise to come in and assist us, especially regarding policy and administrative structures. And someone mentioned that, wow, wouldn't it be great if Colleen came back and helped us out on this? Well, the council pretty much requested Colleen to come back, and we talked to her boss, and we had an agreement with Washington State for 25% of the time to assist us on improving our healthcare system, our administrative structure, and give us guidance on how to maximize and improve our services. So Colleen is going to all the districts, and I think you've been to Insulin and Estia both. Mm-hmm. So here she is at Omak, so welcome her to that. So thank you.
So I'll stand and I'll try to project. I'm starting to get a little bit of a scratchy throat, so if you can't hear me, just let me know and I'll push my voice a little bit further. As Lynn said, and I think almost everybody, once they saw me, knew who I was. I came in, they were like, yeah. Yes, like, and then I watched it, oh, that Colleen. Yeah, this Colleen. So for those that don't know who I am, just let me give a brief background. I am Colleen Costin. I started my adult career here at home. I worked in almost every public health position that I could. Worked with my buddy Darlene. I started as a CHR. I ran our WIC program. I developed our health education program. I was the health manager. I was the health administrator. And then I was elected to the council. And the last 3 years I was on the council, I was the chair. When I lost my election, I was actually asked to take a cabinet position by the Department of Social and Health Services. And that's the position I still hold. I'm the Senior Director for the Office of Indian Policy with DSHS. So I served Secretary Quigley. Chairman Finley sent a letter asking, as Lynn indicated, if I could come home for a full year, 100%. And the Secretary was like, no. He had just recently given me some pretty complex projects to work on with all 29 tribes and 6 Indian organizations in the department, and then I also worked with the 6 administrations of DSHS. But he was willing, especially given the information that was shared this year at the Centennial Accord with regards to the high rate of suicides that we've been experiencing here at home. So he was passionate about making certain that we were able to do something. So we looked at what my workload is and looked at who could carry some of what I usually do, and could we carve out some of my time to come home. And we said we'd test it and we'd see if I could manage it all and come home a quarter of a time. And so I met with the tribe, and we agreed that rather than split that up, a couple days here, a couple days there, that we really do a concentrated period of time. So I'm home the second week of every month for a full week. What the secretary and the chairman agreed to, because I can't do 100% in 2 jobs and do them adequately. I've tried that in my past careers and it just doesn't work. And so the things that I'm going to be focusing on is a comprehensive health assessment. And in that, I'm actually meeting with all of the health programs across the tribe, from the Convalescent Center to Indian Health to the Blake Roosevelt Centers, the tribal health programs, and really seeing where might there be opportunities for collaboration to look at the resources that are being utilized and identify those canyons and areas that aren't being served, and can those resources that we already have be redirected to provide that service. And for me, 20 years ago, this is exactly what I had done. As the health administrator, it was kind of what I was charged with back then. And so it's not too new for me to look at. There are a few nuances, but I was a part of building those nuances, so I think I have a little bit of institutional memory that will lend myself to providing suggestions to administration and the council. Really looking at health coordination, I've met with all of the health programs, at least their managers, in last month and this month's weeks that I've been home, and there's 2 things that I can share with you that are consistent. They all agree that our health services are fragmented, that there are disconnects and disjointedness, and there's not communications going across the lines for a variety of reasons. But then I can also tell you that the staff that I've met with and the work that I've seen them do, I think that they're also all very committed and passionate that they want to provide the optimum health care that they can to our people. So that's a good thing. As Lynn said, looking at an organizational plan, and one of the things the last time that we did this was I inherited the Convalescent Center when I went from the Tribal Health Program Manager to the Health Services Administrator. Lynn and I served on the executive board together. She had social service side of the committee, and I had the health services side of the committee. And, I put a suggestion box in the Convalescent Center to seek out what was the staff needing there, because it was the only 24-hour facility that we have, and to be able to meet with all of that staff one-on-one was really, really difficult. So I wanted them to have a conduit to me. And at first, it was typical by human nature, you just find the negative things, and that's what most of the box was filled with. And then over time, when they saw, oh, she really, A, reads everything we put in there, and B, puts into action ways of solution and fixing it. Then I started getting real, meaningful fixes. And this one, it's one that I share in many different environments, and it came from a NAC, and they didn't have to sign their name, but she wanted to. She wanted me to know who she was and what her suggestion was. I have really small hands. She had hands smaller than mine. And her suggestion was, can we get small gloves so I can do my job? So I was like, okay, so go check the storage closet, first they told me. And all the gloves that they had in there were extra large. So then I thought, okay, let's go check into a clinic storage closet, extra large. Let's check tribal health, extra large. The managers were doing what they were charged to do, which was to buy things in bulk so that they could buy them at the best price. Which meant everybody could put their hand into an extra large glove, whether they could do their job with it or not is another story. So I met with the managers and I said, I know why you're buying all extra large. They said, yes, you're right. I said, okay, I don't care which one of you. One of you is going to buy small, one of you is going to buy medium, and one of you is going to buy extra large, and you're going to swap. Because if you looked at your staff's hands, they are not all extra large. So that NAC, I put it on my weekly report, what the question was, what the solution was, and she came to me and she really thanked me. So I share with you that story because there are ways that you can find 6 and 6 and make a dozen. But if they're never brought together, they're always going to just think they both have 6. So that's really kind of one of the skill sets that I'll be bringing to this task at hand. The other one that's really a technical assistant ask that the council's asked of me, asked by other councilmen, is about maximization of billing. Especially since the passage of the Affordable Care Act, there's going to be an opportunity in which individuals that are credentialed in a discipline can bill for those services. I think that there's been some underbilling that's taken place. I think that there's also, and I know this from the 90s when I worked on the, back then we were still trying to get past the what's embedded in the Affordable Care Act is the permanent reauthorization of the Indian Health Care Program. And when I worked on it in the 90s, I asked if I could be really focused on long-term care. We have one of 26 long-term care facilities owned and operated by a tribe in the entire country. We have the only one in Washington State. And so even though embedded in the law is long-term care, there's not been work done to say, okay, how do we bill for that? How do we maximize the ability to bill for the residents that are residing in that facility so that tribal hard dollars don't have to go to supplant that operation? So that's one of the things that I'm most excited to be able to get back in and start doing a lot more research and see where are we at across Indian country and how can we build that. When I met with the Convalescent Center, they said don't forget that, because there's a huge push in the administrations, in CMS, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, in the Healthcare Authority, in DSHS, to take people that are in institutions and transition them back into the community. And sometimes that transition isn't really to the benefit of that resident because they end up slipping back further and then they go back into the convalescent center, whatever one it is, needing more acute care. So I'm going to be looking at that and seeing how can we really build up that program and really build it to be the state of the art that I know that we want it to be. There are some areas of crisis that the tribe specifically asked that I look at. Of course, the suicide situation that's been happening here. It's also happened at Spokane. I did a survey after this was brought to from the tribes to the governor, and I was a little bit surprised, but not too much, because I've been working on a lot of mental health things already, that across the tribes in our state, many of them have been experiencing a lot of suicides, both completed and attempted. And so we actually at the department are going to be calling together with the tribes and asking them, how can we partner together to address this situation? So that's something that kind of bridges both of the jobs that I'm doing. That's one of those big assignments that the secretary just gave me, is to really look at how can we work on suicide in Indian country. Mental health. One of the things that I do in my current job is I end up having to read an awful lot, because one of the responsibilities my office has is every piece of legislation that either the House or the Senate are considering or that is in the governor's agenda, we have to analyze. And the lens that we look at it from is what's the impacts in Indian country. And so in the world of mental health, there's actually been a lot of concerns about how do the regional support networks, we call them RSNs, work in collaboration or in partnership or against the tribes. And so we've heard all three scenarios from the tribes. Some tribes and their RSNs have real good partnerships and real good working relationships. Other places it's kind of they exist, we exist. In other places it's just clashing. And so there's legislation right now before both houses for consideration about restructuring that. And inclusive of that restructure will be, the governor will be asking tribal leaders to sit on those boards to help design that. And I know when it passes, because it's got a lot of support from a lot of entities, that my office is going to be assigned a big piece of that, because we already have a big piece in what we're doing within the world of mental health, and we're calling it tribal-centric behavioral health. This stemmed from a conference that we did in 2009 with the tribes, and at that point in time, the tribes asked me to sit in on their caucus, and they were ready to once again tell the assistant secretary, this just isn't working. It's oil and water. It's a square peg in a round hole. You can't force us to have to work with the RSNs. It's just not working. Well, the assistant secretary came in when it was his time, and he said, you know what, I've only been doing this piece of my job for about 4 months, and it's like a square peg in a round hole. It's just not working. And they're all like, well, they're not looking at that of our sales, you know. He basically said, if I gave you a blank sheet of paper, what would you develop? So we've been working with the tribes on that piece, on that development. Some of the things that have been identified, and I apologize if this gets into technical pieces, but one of the biggest areas that the tribes repeatedly said was that we work and we know our people at home, and when they're in mental health crisis and we evaluate them and we know they need something, we have to wait for somebody else from the county to come in, and that can take hours or days. And then they're stabilized, and it's like, where'd you come? And so having the ability for the tribes to have those mental health professionals so that they can move them to that next level of care if that's what they need. So those are some of the things that we'll be working on. Children's is a huge administration in our department, and that's an area that the tribes asked me to look at too. What's out there with our children's for children's health? And of course, you are all very important. Elders Health Services is really important, and they've asked me to really be able to lend a lens to what are the possibilities that exist that maybe the tribe doesn't know about in the arena of elder services. I think we all know that across Indian country and here at home, we have a lot of drug and alcohol situations and abuses. And so chemical dependency, drug abuse, those are things that they also want me to assist with. And this last one is like, well, I'm glad we've got an office that's just down the hall for me, because I'll have to do some study to do this one, and that's emergency preparedness. And so I'll have a little bit of a learning experience in this partnership as well. And then lastly, I've been asked to really look at the development of a position description for a health services administrator. And so I'll be working with the Human Resources Department. For those that know me, anybody that worked with me, Darlene can attest to, I'm a pack rat. So one of the first places I actually went to was my own records. I went out to the archives and records and said, I need to look at my own records. They're like, what? And I was like, well, I'm doing this assignment and I know there's stuff in those boxes that will help me. So, I'll be working on that position description and coming from what was there, what is different now, what do we need to have in that classification, and working with HR and development of that. So I just really thank you for being here and letting me have a few moments of your evening. Thank John and Lynn for changing up the calendar, because I know tonight's not your regular meeting night. So I thank you for indulging that you were here the week I was here. I don't like to ask you to do something different just to accommodate me, but I did want to be able to share early on while I'm coming home why I'm coming home. So any questions you have, and if you don't mind, if they're health specific, I'm going to take notes.
I've been hospitalized on an emergency situation. In games I didn't call in 72 hours after my hospital stay because I didn't pay for it. But if they request that little one, they'll be eligible for it. So I couldn't the hospital see, because I was out. And I got a letter from I called it in too late, and I got a letter from the tribe, my insurance, I'm insured, so they took care of 80%, the tribe wouldn't pick up the 25 and 6 cents, take it to the Portland office. So, because I neglected to call in and give me 72 hours, that's really great.
Yeah, that's where it rolled. But did you ask to appeal that decision and explain the situation that you were out during those 72 hours and you couldn't come?
Yeah, but they said I would take it up, they sent me papers to take it up with the Portland.
Did you call for it?
Not yet, but the thing is, if they're gonna make a rule, why should it be a 72 hours? Why shouldn't it just be immediate, because the only places you can go is food, community, safety, heartbeat, or home. You're either gonna go to Omak, community first, why can't we have a layer on there? Remember, automatically, I just that phone, only transported him that, just to Wenatchee. And that way, it'll relieve the patient even.
Those are good questions, and I can bring it up to you.
Didn't say no.
Do you mind if I just
John to have it. They should have it. It should be there.
Probably won't. But I would recommend put a call in for them.
Right.
That way, they've got it on record that you want it.
Yeah, they told me I had to write a statement. They got that.
Okay, good.
But my question.
Why don't liaison?
Why don't, why is it every 2 hours? It's just because, some of them are dire emergencies. You're so stressed out, even if even your significant other is stressed out about it, they forget to do it. If it's life or death.
Did you say something? Did you say something?
I've often wondered about this. I know that the hospital can come from, and why we don't just have an agreement with the hospital. I think all the time is, so, and then naturally, I'm going to get asked about Title 19, and, is there a bit, going to do better, monies through the new Affordable Health Care Act, or is that what you would like to say?
Yes, so what Title 19 is, Title 19 is the process by which a Indian Health Service, tribal clinic, or just Indian Health or tribal clinic can bill the state for a Medicaid recipient, and they get paid a higher, it's called an encounter rate, so it's a higher rate, when you visit those facilities. And in Washington State, we have the biggest span. So we allow for billing for medical, dental, chemical dependency, and mental health. Many other states only do medical. Some do medical and dental, and very few do chemical dependency and mental health. So it will generate revenue. What it's going to also do is, how many of you have a son, grandson, great-grandson who's over 18 and doesn't have a child? None of you?
I do.
Without a child, over 18, and they don't have a
I
child.
don't have a child.
Well, let me think.
You already forgot me. So these gentlemen are usually categorically the ones that, if they got hurt and if they had to apply for benefits, they would be denied because categorically they were ineligible. Now, because of the Affordable Care Act, they are going to be eligible. Which means every time they go to the doctor or clinic now, if they're at one of our tribal or Indian health clinics or like Roosevelt clinics, it's something that those clinics can't bill for. But after they get enrolled, and I know it's a headache getting them enrolled under the health benefits exchange, but it's well worth it, because then they will be able to go to those clinics, and the clinic can bill, and usually it changes in January, but last year's rate was like $348 a visit. So that's pretty substantial. So those are the things that are going to change. As far as constricting what can be done, not really. I don't see any constriction as far as services that we're going to cover under our state plan, because every state has to submit to the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services a state plan that says this is what we're going to cover. Because for the non-Indian population, the reason the states pay attention to what they write in that plan is the feds, each state has a different rate. Washington State is about 54% is paid by the feds, and about 46% is paid by state hard dollars. And so if they put too much in there, they're not going to be able to afford it right. But our state, what we did during the recession was we took out adult dental, and that hurt clinics all over the state. It hurt tribal clinics really hard. The legislature put adult dental back in.
But, well, I drove you crazy and everybody else crazy with Title 19 because of the counter rate. And once you pay the doctor or the mental health, the professional, then the rest of the money will go back to the tribe for better health services, as I understood. And it never really took off. or that type of dollars, or will there still be a Title IX?
Yes, there will still be Title IX.
Can I
And,
interrupt you just one more
Yeah.
time? You mentioned the nursing home. There is a vital place where there is a need, and these services could be made use of, particularly physical therapy. I know when my mom was there, she got physical therapy, this was many years ago, but all that was good for her. And it would be very good to have her here now and can help her out with this contract, or contact.
so I'll answer both of those separate. Yes, when there's excess dollars that come in, what isn't paid to the provider, then those dollars then are redistributed for the enhancement of health. And so, only health, so it doesn't go in the general fund, it can't be then divided up, it has to go be reinvested back in health. And so by having a mechanism, and I think there's another tier that's very important in which is listed in addition to the administrator, compliance officer, but also the billers. Your billing staff have to be really attuned to what is, you can bill us all you want, but whether or not it falls within the scope and we are able to pay you is a whole other story. And we want to be able to pay you, and actually I say we in the state big picture because that administration is no longer within the same administration I work there under the health care authority now. And then we have another element, which is the health benefits exchange, which actually signs you up. So did I answer your question?
Will you be trying to set up
Yeah.
type of department?
Right, so once and my timeline is, I had hoped to have something to council in March, and I shared with them on Monday. I'm just not gonna be able to have it to them by March. I've just gotten the binder, I've pulled everything together, now I just been which is what I tend to do. And so I'm probably gonna have at least a pretty big umbrella of what I've uncovered and what my first look is, and make certain I'm going the direction that council wants me to go and that administration is wanting us to go. And that's kind of in part of why I wanted to come to the districts, because, you know, I know that there was a health assessment done at the general membership meeting. I haven't gotten the results of that as of yet. There's patient satisfaction surveys, but have any of you done any of those things as consumers of health here at the tribes?
Carleen Anderson's survey that she's brought around, a lot of you guys have done that.
So once I get what that results looks like, then I'll, and what the questions were, because, you know, sometimes the questions you ask isn't really what you're trying to gain and gain knowledge on. So I may be bugging you again, some way, somehow, to have input to what you see, because I can build something, and if it's not matching what your needs are, then I can build something that really isn't still addressing the spectrum of health that our people need.
Going back to what Denise was asking, Indian Health has, I don't believe all, but 27 years I worked there, an agreement with all the hospitals, emergency rooms, that they notify, usually the Indian Health is aware of it within the next day. Because I used to go and look at that list of people, and I was over there in community health office, and she'd be out in the hospital, see if people might need help, or if they're at home, make sure everything at home is set up. And, so I don't know where the contract, tribal health program, there is with aligning with Indian Health. But I know, you know, we have this roster every morning, I do everybody that can be on it, people that is supposed to help. So I have access to all of that.
That was a past practice, but when HIPAA came in, and when clinics had to start becoming accredited, and when hospitals went through accreditation,
Yeah.
that was viewed as a violation of HIPAA. Because they wouldn't know who was gonna be at the receiving end of something electronic like that. So I think that's why that practice ended, but that was one of the notes I took, was I'll check with both the tribal health program manager, and remember I did a lot of those jobs. Your liaison, that when I was a CHR, that was over here, that did that, was Carmelita Atkins. I know. She said, ever with my husband. So Darlene ain't there. Those are the things that the staff did. So what I am reading is what all the scopes of work are for the program. And these are those canyons I mentioned that I'll be bringing back and saying, you know what, this is a very simple fix. You know, and it's entering into a memorandum of understanding, and this is the point person that's gonna come in and do this. And this is what the expectation is, and this is how you're going to execute it. This is how we stay within the law, but still make certain that clients are adequately being informed of the service.
But they can bill, me and Darlene for, regular insurance. We go to tribe, all we do is turn our part, pay our fee.
Are there? Are you asking?
They should be in the office over there.
But
Yeah,
it-
and we have, Eastern State Hospital, Sacred Heart, some of the RSN. We're over there.
Influence help is really, really fast by putting it to the credit union.
Mm.
Within the first couple of weeks, you get the second letter of that, and then you're going to the credit union, and keep the credit up, so I start making payments.
How many ways with the police department?
Well, I'll be finding out what still
Let
is.
me know. I know.
Because I'm fearful that many of the things that were in place are no longer.
Yeah, they're.
But there's still the possibility to reinstitute those things.
Yeah.
In today's academic world, that's called best practices. What works and it works, and it proves itself to work, why you want to reinstitute.
Is there, is this a different thing from like, the way it is now, like, same
So that will be a part of it. Contract health services is a part of what I'll be looking at.
is there like a hospital manual, like something they have to prove that I'm there, my daughter calls herself, she wants to call it, social media, life is just a good call. But I had two of them when I lived, credit bureau because they said this pay was coming. And I kept getting told her and turning it in. So, these phone numbers, they're not looking at,
I'm hoping to have more answers today.